having been in venture capital for over a decade now, and before that I was a 20-year operating executive, that leadership is the biggest swing factor in the success of companies. Once we get the strategy right and get a business established, if we were to rank our portfolio of over 20 active companies, when we would rank the probability of success in that portfolio, it would match precisely our feeling about those leaders, and in fact their demonstrated leadership over time. So my belief is, and I bring that belief this morning, is that leadership is the biggest swing factor in the success of companies once they are an idea worth doing. I'm clear that hiring people is a great move. Hiring the wrong person is a mistake. Not firing the wrong person is a disaster. What you choose to pay attention to is one of the most important allocations of resource. My pet peeve, do you know that phrase? It's an American phrase. I don't even know what it means. The thing that annoys me is leaders that don't lead. We have this saying, lead, follow, or get out of the way. So you know what? If you're going to lead, lead, because everybody's expecting you to. I'm suggesting that the aspiration of leadership is to want to be followed willingly, voluntarily, and that you'll actually know about your leadership skills if the money weren't there. So aspirationally, I'm suggesting that the idea about leadership is one that's I want to go where they're going in an organization of, say, north of 40 people. If you can't figure out 5 or 6 or 7 of them that you'd be worried about them not being there on Monday when you get back, you don't have a good enough team. When we looked at the best and brightest, that inspiring wasn't good enough for them. What they really wanted was the notion compelling. They wanted their leaders to be compelling. They wanted to follow them. They wanted people to be doing something interesting. Like, I'm compelled. The difference between being inspired and being compelled is you wouldn't take action by just being inspired. Right? Compelling means willing to take action. So think about it. If you're a fabulous salesperson or a fabulous designer or a fabulous engineer, you have lots of options in the workplace. Why would these people ever leave a job? Well, what we know is they leave jobs for generally the same reason other people leave, and this came from the engagement survey that was done. A couple thousand people surveyed. I have a copy of it if anybody wants it. But fundamentally, they get bored. They need to have a compelling place to work. They need to be challenged differently. They're really not there because there's a paycheck in 2 weeks. You know, they're there because they want to do interesting work, and they want you to know how to challenge them. And so that challenging of them comes in a conversation. What would be challenging to you, Richard? You know, if you're one of my best employees, let's sit down and talk about goals that would be interesting for you, that would keep you challenged, that would stimulate you. They also leave because they often are disillusioned with a work environment. Now, this tends to happen in larger organizations where politics and bureaucracy and all those nasty words about organizational psychology come into play. But in general, they have very low tolerance for political environments, for environments that don't make sense to them. You know, for places where they can't figure out the rules. It's opaque, or it's weird. Or you hired your brother, and your brother's not a very good engineering manager, but he's your brother, and at the end of the day, it's like, you know what, I'm not working for the boss's brother because he's no good. They hate that stuff.